Ladies and gentlemen, today we're checking out crazy disorders that actually give you superpowers, starting with...
Number 7. Extra limbs.
Oh, that's a real thing?
Is a rare birth defect in which an affected individual is born with more than the usual amount of limbs.
I did not need to see that.
In most cases, the extra limb is usually shrunken or deformed in some way and of not much use.
So you're telling me that I can't be born as 4 arms from Ben 10? That's not possible.
But one case in India showed otherwise. Deepak Paswan was a boy from India with 1 head, 4 arms, and 4 legs. The limbs were relatively fully formed and also appeared fully functional.
Okay guys, I actually remember hearing about this, and apparently people in India actually thought that this guy was a literal god. They thought that, like, because he had these extra limbs, that he was the chosen one from one of the Indian gods, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I might believe that too if I actually saw this person, because that's insane that somebody could be born with double the amount of limbs that they should actually have. Like, imagine having 4 legs. What would you even do? Would you be twice as fast?
Imagine the power you would wield with 4 hands. At the foosball table.
True.
Undefeatable.
You could 2v1 anybody.
VR with 4 legs. In the Hindu religion, gods are often depicted with numerous limbs. So as news spread of the quote-unquote Octo Boy, pilgrims soon...
Okay, I don't know if I would want that name, Octo Boy. That sounds like such a weird X-Men superhero that is not that powerful. I would want to be like 4 arms sounds pretty powerful, or like Super Limbo, or 4 legs.
Traveled from
those are bad.
all over India to worship him as an incarnation of their gods. Until scientists figure out that the extra limbs were actually from a parasitic twin that hadn't developed properly in the womb and had somehow fused with him. Turns out he also didn't actually have control over the extra limbs either. They were just kinda glitching every now and then. So to improve Deepak's quality of life, the extra limbs were cut off. And ever since, he's been able to live a relatively normal life.
Okay, that sounds horrible, guys. It started out amazing, where people were worshiping him, and he had these extra limbs, and he was super good at Dance Dance Revolution. But it turned south very quickly, and it turns out that he no longer has the extra limbs. So they took away his superpowers.
Much to the dismay of the pilgrims. Number 6. Super memory. Hypothymestic syndrome is a condition that allows people...
Why does that sound so painful?
...to remember abnormally large numbers of life experiences.
Big brain!
Sounds like a cheat code to life, right? You'd be the world's most famous walking encyclopedia and win millions of dollars in popular trivia game shows.
That is true, guys. You would remember everything. You would remember everything from school, everything that you ever read, every random fact, every person that you ever met, which sounds like a good thing, but in reality... I don't know. It seems like it could be very, very sad as well, because you would remember not only every good thing that happened to you, but also you would remember all of the bad things. Or like, let's say you had like a really bad injury, or you went through something horrible, like losing a family member. You would remember that over and over and over again, like it just happened. And the best thing is about time is that over time, you kind of forget all of the bad things. Or at least they don't really feel like they happened that recently. But with something like this, where you remember everything like it just happened, I don't know. That could be pretty sad, and I don't know if I would want this superpower.
But in reality, hypothysiacs cannot choose what memories are permanently stored in their brains.
Oh, that's even worse.
Information like memorizing schoolwork would be treated as trivial. So
really?
Unfortunately, they won't be doing well on any tests at school.
But what do they actually remember?
What they are great at is remembering that one time they let a big one rip in the school cafeteria.
That's so sad.
Remembering these highly personal events can often be very embarrassing or traumatic. But could you imagine dating a hypothysiac? Hey babe, I'm going to the store to get some milk. Wait! Are you going to leave me like Mark did on the 3rd of January 1984?
Oh no!
Babe, no. How about like Peter did on the 8th of April 1991? No, what are you talking about? Oh, okay then. Don't forget to buy the low-fat milk this time. Oh yeah, sure, honey. Unlike the time you forgot it on
Oh my gosh. Wait, that would actually be horrible. Like literally living with somebody that can remember every bad thing that you've ever done to them. That would be insane because they could just tell you about it 24/7.
97 and the 13th of November 1999 and the 16th of June 2002.
Bye.
He's gonna leave
See you later, butthead.
Yeah, the vast majority of hypothalamiacs find it really difficult to sustain long committed relationships, leading to a lack of social connections
What's up with the
and
poop?
loneliness. Number 5. Exoskeleton armor.
What?
Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva.
Okay, why do all of these superpowers have such, like, horrible sounding names? Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. That sounds so painful, and maybe it actually is.
Also known as Stoneman syndrome, is an extremely rare genetic condition that allows some individuals to rapidly heal themselves when damaged.
Oh, so real-life Wolverine.
Imagine a person suffers a surface injury. Instead of replacing the skin tissue with more skin tissue, the body replaces it with bone instead.
Wait a second. How does that even work? You're telling me that they could literally, instead of having my normal skin, that I could have bone as skin, which sounds cool at first, don't get me wrong, guys, but like that, I don't know. Like your bones are supposed to be under your skin for a reason, right? The fact that this person maybe has a bone that's replacing the skin that they lost, or like imagine just getting like a simple scratch, and then instead of your skin repairing it, you have like little bone fragments. So over time, as you get injured and then as bad things happen to you, you would eventually turn into the Thing from Fantastic Four, which does not sound very fantastic at all.
This process is called ossification. Can you imagine what would happen if you injured all your skin? You'd form an exoskeleton-like layer of armor made of pure bone.
I mean, it sounds pretty epic.
Literally be a superhuman. But in depressing reality, this disorder is almost 100% fatal.
Oh.
The issue is that the body ossifies all damaged tissue, which can make joints stiff and be dangerous to internal organs.
See, guys, this is what I was saying, that you have your skin for a reason, and the bones are where they're at for a reason. Like, the fact that we could have bones everywhere sounds really cool, but at the same time, yeah, like this guy just said, if you even have, like, your organs injured, they're not going to repair themselves like they should. So let's say you have, like, I don't know, something hits your lung, or something injures your stomach, or if you even need surgery, like, you're not going to have normal tissue or skin replace that. It's going to be hard bone, which is not good.
You injure your knee, ossified.
Can't
walk. You injure your eyelid, ossified.
Oh my god.
Any tiny injury would potentially become devastating. If you strain your voice, you could permanently lose it.
Oh my gosh.
If you damage your airways, bony growth would restrict your breathing.
So if you have this, you basically have to live your entire life like in a box where you can't get hurt. Nothing bad can happen to you. You got to make sure that you don't cough too hard or that you like slip and fall and hurt yourself, because if you do, even the smallest little thing could cause this ossification that he's talking about, and then you don't know how that's going to affect your entire system.
Even if you don't injure yourself, your body is constantly breaking down and repairing itself.
Oh yeah,
so
true.
You're basically doomed. You'd be slowly and inevitably turning into a bone statue.
That doesn't sound like a superpower.
The absolute worst part is there's almost no way this can be medically solved at the moment.
Wow.
As surgical removal of ossified tissue causes the body to repair the area with additional bone.
That is crazy.
Leading to a fatal catch-22.
I'm just curious as to why the body would do that, right? Like, why would why would your body system try to replace like what is injured with bone? It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
It's a disorder that could in theory be an awesome superpower, but in reality, it's much more like a living nightmare.
Sad thing.
Number 4, impervious to pain.
Ooh, guys, we checked this out in a previous episode, and I think a lot of you guys were commenting that this might be one of like the weirdest and worst superpowers, because on the surface, it sounds great. Like that I won't feel pain ever. Obviously, nobody likes to feel pain, but pain is actually super useful just for daily events. You make sure that you don't touch something that's hot, because then you pull away from it because it hurt. Or if like something sharp, you know, ooh, I probably shouldn't touch that. And it's your body's way of letting you know that that is like a dangerous thing that could potentially kill you or seriously harm you. So pain, even though it kind of sucks, is kind of a good thing.
Congenital insensitivity to pain, or CIP, is a rare condition where an individual cannot feel pain.
Oh!
Dude, are you okay? Huh? What do you mean? An estimated 1 in every 25,000 people are diagnosed with this condition, and in most cases,
that's a lot.
The person has actually never experienced pain before. This condition is caused by a mutation to the PRDM12 gene, which is important for the development of pain-sensing nerve cells.
I'm actually kind of curious too. So he just said it's pain-sensing nerve cells, but does that mean that like, I don't know, do you feel things differently? Like, do you feel like, you know, somebody touching your arm? Would that be different? Because, you know, that's not painful. But at the same time, like if you can't feel pain, are there other things that you can't feel as well? Which if that's the case, that would also kind of stink.
Affected individuals have been recorded to register touch, but the pain circuitry is completely cut off.
Oh, okay. So that answers my question.
CIP individuals are still susceptible to emotional pain. Physical and emotional pain
sad.
are both processed by the same part of your brain, so this was surprising to me. But it's more of an issue with the physical sensory input as opposed to pain processing in the brain. This would be a pretty neat power to have for a super soldier though. Someone you could just throw into the middle of the battlefield who doesn't care if they get shot. There's actually a village in northern Sweden called Vitangi, where there's an abnormally high frequency of individuals with CIP. We might need to watch out for them in the near future.
Okay, that kind of makes sense to me. Somebody that doesn't really feel pain, or maybe some people also have like a mild form of CIP where they don't feel pain as badly as other people, so they would make really good super soldiers.
In reality, this condition is extremely dangerous to the affected individual because pain is vital for survival. Individuals with CIP often die during childhood because fatal injuries just go unnoticed. It is tragically very common for people to burn to death without even knowing.
Wow. Okay, that part is insane. The fact that a young kid might not realize that they are on fire or that fire is even bad. So out of everything that we've seen today, that is probably the worst.
The 3. Indestructible bones.
Okay, this one I could get behind.
Trichodento-osseous syndrome is a rare condition affecting no more than a couple thousand people worldwide. It leads to people having bones that are so dense that they've been known to break baseball bats and even withstand car crashes.
Okay, but how?
Mutation in the DLX3 gene causes bone density in the affected individual to increase significantly. It reminds me a lot of Wolverine's skeleton.
Oh yeah, Wolverine has like the adamantium armor that they inputted into his already super-powered body.
If you combine this disorder with the regeneration from Stoneman syndrome, minus the ossification and increased likelihood of death, you're basically Wolverine.
Yeah, pretty much.
However, there are several major drawbacks. These individuals are cursed with having extremely weak teeth that break easily and painfully.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me because your teeth are, I don't know, it seems like your teeth are very similar to your bones. So why would your teeth be not as strong when your bones are like basically titanium steel? That doesn't make any sense.
End up falling out completely in some cases.
What?
They have brittle nails and dry, curly, and flaky hair as well.
Okay, so whatever this mutation is, it's affecting the keratin in your body because that's what your nails are made of, that's what your teeth are made out of, and I believe that's also what your hair is made out of, which is kind of crazy that your fingernails and your hair are made out of the same stuff.
Research into TDO is prevalent right now, as it may hold the key to curing osteoporosis, which is the gradual weakening of skeletal structures many people develop in their old age. This would make a huge difference in improving their quality of life, as breaking bones from bad falls is incredibly common for elderly and in many cases life-threatening.
Oh, R.I.P.
Number 2, super strength.
This is an actual disorder?
Myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy is a rare condition that literally gives you super strength.
I thought he was going to talk about gigantism, which is the disorder where people literally do not stop growing. And the bigger you are, usually the stronger you also are.
Affected individuals have over twice the usual muscle mass of an average human. And they also have increased muscular strength, all without going to the gym or lifting weights to maintain.
It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
And just being jacked.
I'm in. Sign me up.
This condition is caused by a mutation in the MSTN gene, which is usually responsible for limiting muscle growth to prevent us from growing too large. But in these super strength individuals, it doesn't work as a limiter. A
Wow.
real-life case of this is Liam Hoekstra from the United States. Doctors recorded
looks cool.
that he had prominent muscle development in his legs as an infant. Like, bro came out of the
what?
womb jacked. Yeah, he never skipped leg day in there. Bro could do a pull-up at 8 months old, had a six-pack when he was just 3 years old, and could lift 3-kilogram dumbbells with his arms fully extended at just 3 years old as well.
Okay, guys, I mean, right now, this sounds incredibly cool, but I'm just waiting for the drawback. There has to be something bad about this.
Well, do you understand how crazy that is? Bro probably only weighed 3 kgs at the time. To add icing on the cake, there are no known medical complications to this condition.
What?
All those benefits and not a single drawback has been
Are you
found.
kidding me?
That is just plain unfair.
Okay, that is the definition of a superpower. Everything else in this video, kinda super lame because there's bad stuff that happens. Meanwhile, this 3-month-old baby is doing backflips and push-ups like it's nothing.
And that's why it gets the number 2 spot on this list. Number 1, fearlessness.
That's a thing? There's people that don't have fear?
Bionic is a man from the UK who was diagnosed with Cushing's syndrome,
What?
where his body produced too much cortisol, which caused him to have severe, life-threatening weight gain and high blood pressure.
Okay, this sounds really bad.
After numerous brain surgeries and complications, in a final surgical operation, his adrenal glands were removed from his body.
Okay.
This gruesome operation required removing one of his ribs,
Ugh.
and it was extremely painful. Thankfully, his Cushing's syndrome was cured as a result, but it came with a price.
So I'm pretty sure the adrenal gland is what gives you adrenaline, which is caused usually by something that is scary, something that like needs to get your body going so that you can get away from whatever the scary situation is.
When Geordie woke up in the hospital bed, he was on life support. He had numerous tubes coming out of him, and the doctors solemnly told him that there had been complications.
Sorry about that.
He had developed pneumonia and then meningitis, which is a potentially
Oh, no.
fatal infection of the brain. But surprisingly, upon receiving the bad news, Geordie had no response. He didn't feel anything. Among the many functions of the adrenal glands, one of them is influencing your body's stress response, also known as fight or flight, namely through the hormone adrenaline. Turns out, due to the removal of his adrenal glands, the part of Geordie's brain that controlled fear had been turned off. So now, he lives a life of zero fear. Can you imagine that? Not feeling the nervous pit in your stomach before an important test? Or not feeling shy and flustered when asking a girl out? Not having...
Well, honestly, guys, okay, me thinking about this right now, fear is one thing, right? But having confidence is a different thing. So it seems like he's kind of in the middle, where I guess maybe he could be confident, but like, it seems like he might just be neutral 24/7. Like, he's not scared, but he's also not like super excited anymore because he can't have the adrenaline in his body. So it kind of seems good, but also kind of bad.
Having a second thought when taking a risk? You'd be an absolute Giga Chad, especially when cases of anxiety and paranoia are increasing in our society right now.
That is true.
Fearlessness would drastically change the course of your life. But just like many of the other disorders on this list, there's a catch. Fear is a fundamental survival instinct.
That is
and
true.
The absence of it could be very dangerous.
This is kind of like the people from earlier that can't feel pain. Pain is something that over time we've gotten because it keeps us alive. Same thing with fear. Fear is like, let's say you are a caveman in a cave and a bear is coming. You're gonna get scared. If you're not scared of the bear, you're dead.
But even worse than that, Geordie lost something much more important after
His
his
ribs?
surgery. He lost the ability to feel excited for
See, that's what I was
to feel
saying.
suspense.
I'm
and
big
in some
brain.
cases, even joy.
Yeah, that's
It
pretty
took away
sad.
his ability to experience life. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb bucket. How you can become a real cyborg right now.
Yes.
Step 1, have a body made of flesh and blood.
Say what
Step
now?
2, put the body through
Terrible accident.
Wait, I don't know if I want to sign up for this actually.
3, get smart engineers to experiment on you for research.
I'm starting
purposes.
to rethink this
But
idea.
you're still stuck on step 2 right now. So how about we take a look at some real-life examples of cybernetic upgrades you can get?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Great. We've got sense augmentation,
Okay.
telepathic communication,
Pretty cool.
and finally, bionic limb
Yo!
modification. Let's start at
Okay,
the top.
I'll take that.
Bionic eyes.
That's a real thing.
In 1978, engineer William Dobell tried to create artificial vision.
Smart man, big
He
brain.
found that when you electrically stimulate the visual cortex, a splotch of light called a phosphene is perceived.
Okay, guys, I just need to back up for 2 seconds here. I just, like, scientists like this kind of scare me a little bit because how did he figure this out? He obviously had to do a lot of experimentation on actual human brains, which is kind of how we have all science today and biology. So, I mean, I get that you have to do it, but at the same time, you know, this guy's kind of crazy for figuring that out.
He then stabbed a bunch of little electrodes in and mapped video camera footage to them, creating a dot matrix of phosphenes. So now someone wearing the device could see the outline of shapes.
Okay, big
One
brain.
of his blind patients even regained enough vision to drive a car.
Wait, really?
I can finally see now. His work was showing signs of truly helping people. And then he
So I wonder if that's what they actually see. Like, they can't really see colors or they can't really see too many shapes, but they can see little dots in the form of shapes, which I guess is kind of what you would need to just make out objects in the world. So, I mean, if it's either you're blind or you get this, I would rather have this.
He died. And everyone realized
he
that
died?
he barely documented anything. All that research straight down the toilet.
Seriously,
But since
bro?
then, there have been many advances in bionic eye technology. Devices like the August 2 now allow you to read large text.
Interesting. There you go. You got
Imagine
it.
You could record and replay memories, or you could even stream other people's camera feeds and relive them for yourself.
Wait, did he just say that you could relive memories? That's an actual thing? I have never heard of that before. Comment down below if you have, but that seems like something out of, I don't know, like some sort of futuristic movie.
Maybe you could even zoom in. and
Wait.
enhance.
Oh, no,
One day,
no.
I could even
Cursed.
hack into your eyes and play doggo videos directly into your brain. Well, anyways, congratulations on your new bionic eyes. But did you know people nowadays are experimenting with non-human senses as well?
Huh? Like what?
Magnetic sense. This one's a weird modification, but you need all the help you can get, my friend. So you get a professional to cut
But, yeah,
your finger open and stick a itty bitty magnet inside.
Okay, guys, this is where they start to lose me because I know that there are these cyborg superpower augmentations that you could technically add, but it, you know, you gotta kind of like cut open parts of your body, and that's where I might have to draw the line. I don't know if I'm willing to commit to that because that sounds a little scary. And also for some of these things, you can't really reverse it, I don't think. Like once it's there, it would be weird to go back to the way that you used to be because you'll kind of get used to having this upgrade.
Now it wiggles whenever you're near a magnetic field. Seems a bit gimmicky,
Is that
but it
useful?
could be useful for an electrician. You can
Oh, okay,
sense
yeah.
the shape and intensity of magnetic fields and even distinguish between AC and DC voltages.
So this would be good for somebody that's like working around electricity and different magnetic fields all day, but you can't turn into Magneto. I wouldn't be able to actually control magnets with my big brain. So I don't think I would want this upgrade.
But there would be so many disadvantages. Like, how would you get an MRI done? Have you seen how strong their magnets are?
True.
So we need to scan you for cancer.
No.
Sir?
Nope. Sorry.
Or even worse, it just rips out of your skin. You couldn't get past airport security either. But at least you
True.
can pick up paper clips with your finger. But your implant would demagnetize over time. So eventually you're just left with a piece of trash. And a demagnetized magnet.
I actually did not know that magnets lose power over time. So I guess I did learn something today.
Looks good on you though. Just don't get too close to that machine.
Oh, and he's dead.
Color sense. Neil Harbison was born with a rare form of complete colorblindness, and at the age of 22, he turned into the world's first Pikmin.
Say what
He
now?
has a cyborg antenna implanted into his skull, with a camera on one end and a sound vibration implant on the other. Now, he can
What?
hear colors through audible vibrations based on what the camera is.
Did he just say that he could hear colors? Okay, that's kind of cool, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I feel like that's completely different than like how most people see color. Obviously, we could see that red is red, orange is orange, yellow is yellow. But for somebody that's colorblind, it kind of just all looks very gray and there's no actual like sensation of color. But at the same time, that's not the worst thing in the world. But this person decided that they would hack into their brain and they could understand color through vibrations, which is kind of strange. It kind of reminds me of like Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, who can feel the vibrations in the ground, but instead of feeling people, she could just feel the colors. I guess that's a superpower. That's a really weird X-Men superpower. Like, imagine you were at X-Men University and somebody was like, I can hear the colors. I feel like they would just lock you up in prison.
Seeing. The cool part is that he can see infrared and ultraviolet light too.
That is kind of
Today's a
neat.
Sunscreen kind of day. But turns out having your brain constantly vibrating isn't fun. Make it stop, please. But the human brain is plastic. Not literally made of plastic, but able to adapt and learn. So even though there was this new sense forcing its way in, Neil's brain eventually accepted it.
And then
Just
it
like
worked?
how our brains aren't overwhelmed by our eyes constantly seeing and our ears constantly hearing.
That is true. I'm sure you guys already heard this fun fact that your eyes actually filter out your nose. Because if you really focus, you could see your nose. And technically your eyes can see your nose pretty much 24/7, but your brain blocks it out because it's not useful.
I'll give you this antenna. Doesn't really do anything, but it's cute.
Thanks,
Cyborg
doggo.
Sense Speed Round. North Sense is a little chest implant that jiggles every time you face north. Centero is a proximity sensor that jiggles when you're next to another Centero user. Seismic Sense is an implant that jiggles when the Earth jiggles. These cyborgs sure do a lot of jiggling, don't they? I guess we should sort that out now, huh?
Guys, I want you to comment down below right now if any of these superpower cybernetic upgrades would be something that you would want to get in the future. Currently, right now, I don't think I want any of these.
Telepathic communication.
Oh, wait, I want this one.
Humans communicate like this.
Pretty much, yeah, that's what my brother
Imagine
sounds
if you
like.
could talk like this instead. Well, to do this, you need to read information from
He
one
got
brain
roasted.
and write it to other brains or computers. Neuralink is already working on this with their brain-computer implant, and they've recently completed their first human trial. The patient was paralyzed from the shoulders down after an accident, and
You see, that's where a lot of these cyborg upgrades make a lot of sense to me. For somebody that maybe has lost their senses, or somebody that was born without one of their senses, like somebody that was born blind or deaf, or that can't use, some or all of their limbs, having some sort of cyborg upgrade that can reconnect to parts of your brain or your body that aren't working like they should be, that part's cool. That is epic to give basically somebody that doesn't have what me and you have, or at least I'm assuming that you have access to these senses. If somebody that doesn't have it could then get access to them, that would basically be like a superpower for them because their entire life would be changed. Whereas the stuff that we usually do on a day-to-day basis is kind of just normal to us. When in reality, if you take it away, it turns into a superpower, which is kind of neat.
now he can use his mind to play RuneScape. The
Epic.
chip has a bunch of electrode threads which can read different signals from your brain. Their software then maps these signals to cursor movements on a screen. And you could use this technology to map a brain to any computer interface, like a Jaeger. With this implant, you can now control this Roomba. Here you go, buddy.
Awesome. Vacuum time. Yes.
Right now, brain-to-brain communication is pretty difficult, because seizures. But a simpler option would be to read a message
Kind of curious, how did they learn that? Did somebody get a seizure?
from one brain and use a computer to transmit it to an ear implant. You could basically have your own private radio channels in your head. Reading information from brains could be a bit scary, though. I don't want people to know my intrusive thoughts. Neil the Pikmin...
I know this isn't exactly what we're talking about here, but it would be so cool if there was some sort of Neuralink brain device that you could wear, pretty much 24/7, but ideally you could wear it only at night when you're dreaming, and then it would be able to show you a movie of what you dreamed about, and that would actually be kind of scary because sometimes I have nightmares, but that would be kind of cool. And I think I would use that. But also too, I don't think I would show anybody what I dreamed of. But it would be cool to see.
And his jiggly cyborg buddy achieved a different form of cyborg communication with Bluetooth. And I mean a literal Bluetooth. When they were in close range, they could communicate in Morse code by tapping their teeth. What happens when they're eating, though?
Imagine you go up to somebody and like literally there's just two people and they're just like this. Not saying any words whatsoever. They're just... I don't know if that's a superpower. That's kind of weird.
How could you say that? Anyways, that's communication sorted. Wait, where'd he go?
Oh, he's trying to vacuum.
I guess it's time to get you some real legs now. Bionic limbs. At the age of 17, rock climber Hugh Herr had both his legs amputated due to frostbite. Doctors told him he would never climb again, but instead of giving up, he turned his clunky prosthetic legs into ones that could outperform real human limbs. Spiked feet for climbing vertical ice walls.
Okay, that's just awesome.
For reaching far footholds, and narrow-tipped feet that could slip into cracks way too thin for regular feet. His legs also didn't get tired while climbing anymore, because he didn't have any. Now, he finds himself as the director of biomechatronics at MIT.
Okay, that is like the coolest origin story I have ever heard of. This guy literally lost both of his legs, and instead of being like, I guess I'll just use the normal prosthetic legs, he decided that he was gonna turn into Iron Man, pretty much. He turned into Tony Stark and then started developing even better legs. This guy is the best. He is literally the best person ever.
Where he designed special brain-controlled bionic legs.
Now that's cool.
Constantly adjust the stiffness of his joints to mimic how humans naturally walk. Like, look at how smoothly he moves. He hopes to end disability in humans one day, but there's a few major problems to solve first. One is that it's really hard to interface with human skin. It's hairy, oily, sweaty, and it chafes and cuts easily.
That is true. I have watched a few videos about like bionic limbs, and supposedly it is very difficult to get your body to accept the new robot piece that you want to be accepted by the body. So for example, like prosthetic arms or prosthetic legs or prosthetic anything really, even like fingers, it's like practically impossible to link everything together with your actual like muscles and tendons and like the little microscopic connections that happen. It's so difficult to get your body to accept a robot, since most of your body like doesn't want anything that's foreign in your body, which, sounds weird, but that's just how it is. Your body's like, ooh, that's not supposed to be there. And then it'll try its best to get rid of it. So it's going to be interesting in the future to see how people counteract that so that our bodies accept like pretty much robots into our internal system.
You can't just duct tape a prosthetic on and call it a day. Hugh's research is developing synthetic skin to tackle this problem. It can change its shape and stiffness under electrostatic forces. Kinda like how the glider cape from The Dark Knight turns floppy to stiff when you run a current through it. So the synthetic skin is soft and stretchy on your squishy parts and stiffer where there's solid bone surface underneath. Sounds pretty comfy. But a gross problem that's often overlooked is sweat. Since prosthetics basically surround amputated limbs like a shoe, sweat doesn't evaporate. So some sports prosthetics include drain holes.
Say what?
Interfacing option
I never thought about that.
Integration, which involves implanting titanium directly into the bone, and then you can swap out whatever attachment you want. But the biggest problem is that bionic limbs don't really feel like they're a part of you. Humans have a sense called proprioception, which is basically your body's spatial awareness. For example, if you close your eyes, you're still able to touch the tip of your nose with your finger. The same can't be said for bionic limbs just yet. But research is currently being done to solve this, and soon you could pick any bionic limb you want, and it would feel like a part of you.
Okay, guys, comment down below what bionic limb or what bionic attachment would you want to have? I personally think that it would be so cool if I could have like Doc Ock's giant tentacle robot arms, and then you could climb anything. You could climb buildings. They could even like maybe have the ends rotate really fast, and then you could turn into a drone that flies. The possibilities are endless.
Bionic limb speed round. Jason Barnes is a drummer with a bionic arm attachment with 2 drumsticks.
Okay, that's
allowing
epic.
Him to play rhythms no other human can play. Jesse Sullivan is one of the world's first cyborgs who had a bionic arm that could be controlled through nerve grafts in his chest.
That is insanely cool.
In his finger.
Okay, that doesn't make any
And
sense.
as a company
That man better have like a bajillion Bitcoin on there, because if not, why would you ever do that?
called Bionic that makes prosthetic arms that can punch through things. And
Okay.
now, with a few little adjustments, all finished.
Oh,
look
yo. Oh, God.
Ah, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah, he's communicating with the Bluetooth. I think he maybe turned into a supervillain. Let's find out.
Well, this isn't the ocean. That's because you initially hatched from an egg while still inside your mother. Even
Is
at
that
this age,
how that
work
works?
has already started, as you're introduced to the predatory lifestyle by mum feeding you some underdeveloped eggs. Once you hit
What?
5 feet, you are born.
5
somewhere.
feet?
We don't really know where because we've never seen it, but we can narrow it down to the whole ocean, likely at one of these prey-rich hotspots.
Wait, is that actually factual? Like, do we not know where great white sharks are born? Have we seen great white sharks being born? Is that something that we've seen? Somebody caught drone footage? What appears to be a newborn great white shark. So literally, as of 2023, we found just a baby great white shark. That's it. We literally didn't see anything getting born, so this could all be fake.
Along with your 7 siblings, you immediately swim away from mum, who may now only see you as prey.
Wait,
Which
what
is
now?
probably what happened to this guy.
Mom?
I'm sure that's not a scarring image.
Mom?
You're a Nepo baby, instantly starting life at the top of the food chain where you can continue your parents' legacy of eating everyone else so you can grow larger and larger.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but like, imagine being a great white shark, but you were born from an egg, but you don't actually come out until you're 5 feet long, which is like basically how tall I am, plus 1 foot. So, I mean, you're already pretty big, and most other creatures in the ocean are probably not gonna wanna mess with you because you are literally a great white shark. It's in the name. You were great.
One present mum did pass on to you is a starter pack of knowledge for you to learn on what to eat and how to kill it.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Mom.
Something that a lot of animals have to gather themselves. Let's
Did she
see
teach
what's
me?
next on the list. Many great whites don't survive the first year, so you have to get a
Aw.
move on and focus on pure growth. Your jaw isn't quite strong enough to take on large prey, so you stick to smaller fish and whatever else you
Sushi.
can find.
Sushi.
Because of your smaller size, you live a sheltered life around shallow coastal waters, but these early years see your fastest growth rate adding on about a foot per year until
What?
you reach 3 or 4 years old.
That's
As you come to
insane.
the end of your pup years, you decide to celebrate with a one-off treat. You are now a juvenile
Lobster.
great white shark. Let's see what's on the next card. At 8 to 9 feet, you can now take on some slightly larger prey. Still not quite ready for mammals though. Up until now, all of your prey have had no choice but to suffer your wrath, but your next target is your first test of consuming someone who has other options.
A penguin.
Something that helps you with this is counter shading, your form of camouflage where your dark back blends in with the sea, your white belly blends in with the sunlight, and the two together break up your outline.
I never really thought about it like that, but I guess that is an evolutionary trait where the bottom is for stuff that looks like the sky, because stuff looking up at the shark is gonna probably blend in with the sky. So it's to help hide you from predators, which there's probably not too many things that are eating great white sharks other than maybe killer whales, I guess. And humans, of course. A lot of humans probably are hunting great white sharks, but also the top of you kind of looks just like the ocean. So they're pretty hard to spot unless you have good eyesight, like me.
This allows you to strategically trick the penguins into thinking that the water is a nice place to be.
Haha, got you,
Having
penguin.
successfully orphaned a chick, you
Welcome
merrily
home,
move
mummy.
on to your next target.
No, that's so
I know.
sad.
Looks like there's a killer on the loose.
Who?
You're still an easy target for an adult shark's growth plan, so best keep your eyes peeled.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot that we're not fully an adult shark, so sharks are actually like solo animals, so you don't really have any friends as a shark. It's a pretty lonely life. You're out there by yourself, and everything is either trying to run away from you so that you don't eat them, or they are trying to eat you. Unless you're one of those like baby fish that hides under the fins of the sharks. I never quite knew why they did that, but it is pretty cool.
Meanwhile, an innocent stingray flaps its wings, sending a weak electrical pulse through the ocean that
Oh.
you can detect with the 1,500 jelly-filled pores all over your head.
So you're dead.
This sixth sense gives you the ability to easily yoink unsuspecting prey with pinpoint accuracy.
Bye, Ray
Another
Gun
strong
Mark
sense
4.
that's been gifted down to you is your sense of smell. Just under your snout are 2 nostril-like holes that can detect a seal colony 2 miles away, but they do have their limits. It is true that you can smell a drop of blood in an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Okay.
If it's only slightly filled.
Pretty impressive.
About the same as most fish.
Oh, okay. That's not as impressive.
One thing you can easily pick up is the delicious smell of a dead whale carcass.
Ew.
Coincidence that is the next thing on your training. Unfortunately, this opportunity also attracts a lot of other, bigger sharks, and you don't want to tempt fate, especially with a known killer around.
So far, guys, I mean, being a great white shark probably is better than being most animals in the world. But I will say, yeah, it seems kind of deadly. It seems like your entire life is basically the game Feed and Grow Fish, if you guys have seen that, which if you're a fan of me, you probably have seen that game before, where your entire life is eating food and getting bigger. There's really not much to learn in that game. It's just eat, get bigger. Eat, get bigger. And then stay away from things that are bigger than you because they will eat to get bigger.
You take the safe option of hovering around the area, picking off any chunks that drift away.
Tasty.
I guess that counts. I mean, you didn't really eat the whale, but at the top of the food chain, normal rules don't apply to you.
You know, we'll take what we can get.
After a few more years of keeping the ocean in check, you've grown to around 12 or 13 feet and are ready for your final challenge of juvenile life. Yellowfin tuna can grow up to 8 feet long, so this will be a true test of your strength and ability.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a giant tuna before, but tuna size versus human. Like, these things are big, guys. I don't know if you've ever seen the size of an actual tuna, but look at that. That is a person, and that is a tuna. For whatever reason, when I was younger, I thought that tuna, because, you know, they were in the tiny cans, I thought that a tuna was maybe like this big, except in reality, they are most of the time the size of two of me stacked up on top of each other. So, I mean, that is probably the best diet for a great white shark.
As you finish your set, a convenient school swims over your head, and one seems to be struggling behind.
Oh, he's dead.
You've learned to always take advantage of the weak and helpless, so employ all your stealth skills to get as close as possible. Then detach your jaw from your skull to open wide as you burst through the tuna, taking a fat chunk of it with you.
Oh my gosh, that's literally insane.
Wonder what was wrong with the tuna.
Anyway, well, sorry, fisherman.
You're becoming an unstoppable force of nature. Well, nearly unstoppable.
What else is there?
They must still be out there. At least you're becoming less of an easy target. You are now an adult great white shark.
Yes!
I know up until now you've been targeting different animals, but you're really an opportunistic feeder. And a good opportunity has arisen for you to get your next
no! Not the dolphin!
People smiling makes you sick. So you're closing from behind, carefully avoiding their echolocation, then 0 to 25 and...
That's pretty incredible.
Who said sharks were afraid of dolphins?
Especially because, I mean, at the start of the video, this guy said that most, if not all, of the abilities of a shark, like all of its senses and stuff, are just passed down. So everything that it knows is from millions and millions and millions of years of evolution where, you know, like me and you, we had to learn stuff. Like we, you know, kind of taught ourselves some stuff. Like, you know, nobody taught us how to breathe or that we need food, but nobody taught us like how to do a lot of stuff. So you kind of have to be taught how to do most of the stuff if you're like a human or some other animal. Whereas sharks, they just know how to do stuff as soon as they're born, which is pretty incredible.
That was your first mammal kill, and since your jaw's now strong enough, you can go after some more. Brown fur seals are your next target, and you opportunistically hunt them by deliberately heading to somewhere called Seal Island.
How do we know,
Obviously, lots of seals means lots of competitors, and there's a dominance hierarchy in the market that goes along the lines of larger beats smaller, female beats male, and if both those fail, whoever got there first. It's theorized that you may share information about different prey with each other, but given the number of dead sharks you've seen, you're going to give that a miss.
Yeah, especially because most sharks, like, you know, they're going to try to fight you over other animals, other food, or they're just going to try to eat you. So, I mean, it's probably best if you are a shark to stay away from other sharks. That seems to be like the common rule, is that you stay away from anything that looks bigger and more sharkier than you.
Hunting these guys is a bit more complicated, but with a quick read of your gifted natural instincts, you should be sorted. You hover in the depths and look up at your unsuspecting victim, who's just trying to provide for their family. You take aim at the target, then with 5 strong swooshes, hit your top speed. Just as you're about to make contact, everything goes blank.
What happened?
You roll your eyes back in your head for protection.
What?
Next thing
Why?
you know, you're 10 feet in the air, no seal in mouth, looking down at something that isn't the ocean.
Oh, he jumped out of the water. He breached.
The in your ear is having a meltdown as you scramble back to the ocean in shame.
Sorry,
You're
dude.
a massive failure. I know who you can take it out on. That other completely innocent seal over there.
Do it. I love seals. Oh no. Oh my gosh, dude.
50% success rate. That sounds about right.
Not bad.
Very successful for your teeth, though.
Oh,
Don't
where
worry,
did my
that's
teeth
normal.
go?
They're only held in by soft tissue.
They're going to grow
You have
back.
7 rows of teeth all ready to step up for duty when the front ones fall. As the conveyor belt moves forward, you continually
Employee of the
produce new
month.
teeth that join at the back row. Of the 300 teeth in your mouth, only around 50 are actively tearing up families.
Oh,
Speaking
okay.
of that, it's been a few days, so you're hungry again. You slowly approach a new colony. That looks like a good target. Oh, there's another next to them
They
as well.
just look like turds
And
in a
another one over
toilet.
there. Wait, there's loads of them. Everywhere.
What? Why are they
And they're all coming
everywhere?
right towards you.
Wait, what's going on?
As the seals start mobbing around you, you're as
Hey.
close to terrified as your brain lets you be.
Hey, what's happening?
So, mildly concerned.
Yeah, we're going to kill
You
every
try to
single one
swim
of you.
away, but they follow en masse, taking the occasional nasty jab at you.
Wait a second, guys. I didn't know this. I've watched countless hours of Shark Week, and I've never heard of a bunch of seals attacking a great white shark. I've heard of dolphins attacking great white sharks. I've heard of killer whales attacking great white sharks. I've heard of great white sharks attacking great white sharks. But I never knew that a sea puppy was able to fight back against a shark.
They're obviously not a fan. It's not your fault. You can't help what you were born into. You're just trying to do your job.
Yeah,
And what
I gotta
they don't
eat.
realize is that you're actually good for them, even though you bring only misery. Without you keeping the populations down, there'd be too many of them and not enough food to go around.
Yeah.
So they'd die anyway.
See?
At least if you kill them, someone gets to benefit.
I'm doing you guys a favor.
They don't look convinced. You know a lost cause when you see one.
Well,
I guess you're not as formidable when everyone comes together.
huh. Interesting.
After that reality check, you're faced with another surprise.
Oh, well,
The seals are probably not capable of this.
there's no
Sharks
way,
are
right?
14 feet, about the same size as you.
Yeah, there's no world in which a great white shark would die to a bunch of like 5 foot long fur baby seals.
Whoever did this has to be one massive shark.
Oh, boy.
Meaning it's not even safe to be an adult here.
It's time to run.
Time for you to migrate elsewhere. You're known to migrate vast distances using your electroreception to navigate Earth's magnetic field.
That is
Some of
insane.
the usual routes look like this, but
That's basically like having an internal GPS and you know exactly which direction you're going at all times.
I'm making a new one up. To avoid the killer, you make sure to swim at different depths, maxing out at over 3,000 feet, relying on the fat and oil stored in your liver for buoyancy and energy.
Wow.
You've arrived. Time
Oh.
to establish
Hey,
yourself.
wait a
You're
second.
fed
There's
up
going to be a lot of
dealing with
people.
seals for now, so look at your training for something else. California sea lions.
Ah, delicious.
Well, that seems easy enough. Similar setup to the fur seals, just without the spectacle. You locate your target, go to 5th gear, and hit them with
wait.
possibly the most powerful bite in the animal kingdom. At over 1,000 kilos, the impact alone is probably enough, but you don't give them any chance by
Oh
dragging
my
them down below.
gosh. That is so
Nice.
terrifying.
What's next? Sea otters can be up to 5 feet
No!
long, so not the hardest kill. But you
No!
do have to be really nasty.
No, dude, sea otters are
Right,
my
that's enough
favorite.
training for now. You need to rest for a big trip ahead. A couple problems you have are that you need to keep moving, so oxygenated water
Yeah.
flows over your gills.
Great white sharks literally like don't sleep. They kind of just like go into this mode where they just kind of swim on autopilot because like you just said, they can't stop moving or else they literally can't breathe. That would be like you can only breathe if you're constantly walking around, which actually might be a good thing for the country.
And you don't have eyelids, so typical sleep isn't on the cards. To get around this, you find a strong current, face it head on and open wide. This neat trick means you can slow right down to recover without suffering the same fate as the sea lion.
Nice.
At least, we think. How you sleep is really still a mystery, but this is one theory based on some observations.
That would make sense to me.
You've planned out your annual holiday to a nearby feeding paradise called the White Shark Cafe.
The
And
what?
by nearby, I mean over a month's swim along an actual migration route.
Oh,
Here, you
cool.
take a break from the usual grind you tuck into a wide variety of nutritious deep-sea fish. A few months later, your belly's full and you're sad to be leaving the cafe, but
It's so interesting to me that these great white sharks and so many other animals in the animal kingdom, they just know where to go. They know where to migrate. They know where to find food. They know what time of year that they should go places. And it's like, nobody told them this. Like, we wouldn't know anything about anything unless somebody taught us how to do the thing. Whereas great white sharks, they just download the information as soon as they're born, and they're just like, yes, of course, it's August 4th. I need to go all the way halfway to Hawaii to the White Shark Cafe so I could eat a shrimp on the Barbie. It's insane. It's so cool.
there are exciting days ahead. Your natural instincts tell you to head further north along the California coast. These waters are getting colder, but luckily your family, the mackerel sharks, are part of a very elite group. Most
we have
fish are
blubber.
cold-blooded and need to rely on the water temperature to regulate their body temperature. But of the over 33,000 species, you're one of the around 35 that have warm-blooded capabilities.
Of course it
As you
does.
swim along, warm blood from your working muscles transfers heat to the cooler blood on its way to your organs, helping you maintain a higher body temperature than the surrounding water. This means you're still as lethal as ever and can generously help manage the population of that elephant seal colony.
Oh my gosh, mega nose
These guys can be
seals.
quite large, which is why you're here for the pup season. You can take out an adult, but it's a lot easier to take advantage of the ones just getting their start in the world.
Oh no, little Timmy.
You could probably just wallop it and swallow it whole, but
Don't
it's still
do it.
important to maintain the correct technique to avoid injury and practice for the adults. In this case, you bite their lower body to immobilize, then casually wait it out till they bleed to death.
Oh, is that all?
Every day's a holiday when you love your job.
Yep, totally.
You're lingering around to get another bite until you notice something on the rock face in the distance. You head on over, and as soon as you can make out what it is, you lose your appetite.
Oh no, what is it?
They must be following you.
Killer
Now that you're
whales?
massive, everyone wants a piece. There's a few more sharks around here. Is it
Hey
them?
guys.
Or them? You're not taking any chances.
Hey, let's just be friends, guys. Oh my gosh, what was that?
Ah, well, this guy's only like 8 feet long, so it wouldn't have been them.
Huh.
Oops. At
What?
least the part of your brain responsible for feelings isn't very developed, so you couldn't.
I'm kind of curious, guys, and let me know in the comments if you do know this, but do great white sharks kill other great white sharks for food, or do they do it mainly to just, like, get rid of other sharks that might be in their territory? Kind of like how lions in the savannah will battle other lions, but they probably don't really do it for food, it seems. They do it to, like, make sure that other lions stay out of their territory. So let me know in the comments if you know the answer.
Care less. So, the killer's still out there. Time for another made-up migration route.
Perfect. Where
As
to
you're
now?
settling into your new home, you get a nice tasty whiff.
Ooh, chicken. I mean, whale.
Now that you're an adult, you should be safe to go over. You take a deep breath. Well, not really, because you're a shark. I guess maybe you open your mouth a bit wider, then go in for your first bite.
That is what sharks do. They open their mouth.
Okay, so far so good. No one seems interested.
Okay, that's
You've
good.
never been one for chewing, so continue to go back and forth, ripping off chunks you can swallow whole.
One bite challenge.
Until you
Oh,
mistime your bite.
sorry, dude.
Now you're gonna get it.
My bad. This is
Or not.
awkward.
They don't seem to care at all.
Wait, say what now?
Everyone seems to be a lot more civil than your experiences have taught you.
I just bit you and you
And
don't
It
care?
looks like you've even caught someone's eye.
Say what now? What are we about to
Well,
do?
time does fly by, and you've already hit maturity. At
Oh,
around 26
nice.
if you're male, or 33 if you're female. But
Wait a second. Dude, they can live a lot longer than I thought. That is awesome.
another thing we don't know a lot about is mating, because we've never seen it.
What?
Although it is thought that whale carcasses could be a popular meeting point.
Oh, yeah, that makes
As
sense.
a female, you'll typically be a few feet
Like a
bigger than
cafe.
the males, probably because you need room to store up to 10 pups. You don't have arms. So the only way the male can hold on to you is with their jaw.
Hey,
Luckily,
yo!
your skin is made up of miniature interlocking teeth, making it very rough and durable.
Okay.
This skin, similar to a golf ball, also helps you to be hydrodynamic. So
That's
the
good,
male
I
can efficiently
guess.
get lost when he's done.
Okay,
12
bye.
months down the line, you pass on your wisdom to 7 or 8 new pups, who all
7 or
immediately
8?
leg it from you.
Well, yeah, because we learned earlier that the mom will eat them if they don't swim away as fast as physically possible. That is crazy.
Next on your training is sea turtle, so
How?
hopefully you'll come across one soon.
How
But
am I
right
gonna
now
eat a
you
sea
spotted an
turtle?
Opportunity for a quick snack.
Is that a kayak?
The water's a bit murky and you can't quite make out what it is, so using the pores along your body that detect vibrations, along with all your other overpowered sensors, you
I'm
go in for a
pimply.
taste a bite.
Oh, well. Hey.
Oops, mistaken identity. You're not a fan of human. Too much bone. But for some reason, that massive shell doesn't seem to bother you.
That is really
This one is very
strange.
straightforward. Just raw power to break through the shell. Nice. You've completed your training.
That is honestly kind of sad if you're a turtle, right? You have gone through millions of years of evolution literally to make this shell that is supposed to protect you against a shark, and then boom, great white shark is actually like, nah, I'm just gonna bite through it anyway. And then turtle's dead.
Now there's just one more final boss. But first, what's that over there? You're a very curious species, so decide to get closer and pop your head up for a look. Something known as spy hopping. Nothing
Oh,
of
no.
interest.
Hey, stop
As you're
catching
swimming
stuff.
back,
That's
you
my
suddenly
tuna.
realise that you're not going anywhere.
Oh no.
Okay. This can go two ways. If they're nice and this is an accident, you go free. If not, you end up as soup.
Oh no.
Saved by the
Yeah, apparently it's a pretty big delicacy in China, I learned recently, where they actually eat the fins of sharks, which is pretty sad. But I mean, we do eat a lot of different creatures, but sharks are one of the species that are very endangered. So it's not a good thing. We should not be hunting sharks.
plot armor. But it looks like someone wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
They've got to
R.I.P.
be like 19 feet long, looking very battle scarred, and there appears to be some shark remains spilling out its stomach.
Aw.
That can't be coincidence. This has to be the killer. Must have followed you here. I guess they finally ran out of steam. Right, after that detour, you're now ready for your final challenge. Humpback whale.
What?
Juvenile. And that's
Okay,
a
okay.
bit of a push.
That would be
You
insane.
decide to swim back towards South Africa until the opportunity arises, then check the instructions.
Hello.
In true final boss fashion, they're double your size, have a ton of health, but don't actually deal that much damage.
That's fine. We
Especially
play
if you avoid
Elden
their
Ring.
special attack. So you just attack away for half an hour until you eventually win.
Huh. Well,
Nice.
we did it.
Now you can eat to your belly's full.
But then there's going to be other things that come, right? Because that's exactly what happens is the other animals crowd around the giant whale carcass, and then it's a feeding frenzy.
Is that all you can fit? Well, that was a bit pointless then. Anyway, you've finally done it. You've killed everything, ruined lives, all to get to a whopping 20 feet long.
Yes.
You're the most feared predator in the ocean, and no one can stand up to you. You've proved you're the undisputed ruler of the seas, and
Oh no. No, what was that? What happened? Who killed me?
that's not what you expected.
It was a person, wasn't it? Oh no. 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 No, it's the killer whale. I knew it, dude. I knew it was the killer whales. Killer whales are like literally the deadliest creature of all time.